And we are live. Welcome to the Mixed Martial Arts podcast.
Uh,
Well, I should say Poodcast in honor
the
of our
food.
friend Mahul, who just discovered anal sex.
I don't want to know, man.
Bilal, I believe you and I and someone else that we know have been trying
Someone else.
very hard to introduce Mahul to the wonders of the butt.
Yes, I
Oh,
believe he's slowly coming around to eating ass. But
He really is. It's something that we respect the fact that he's opening up his he's broadening his horizons. He's opening up his inhibitions. We respect that, and in honor of that, welcome to the Mixed Martial Lanes podcast.
okay, the butt cast.
No, the podcast, because inside of the butt. No, okay.
Yeah. Let's move on. Let's move on. uh, we've had
Poo.
enough juvenile fun.
Speaking of poo, UFC 247 happened a few weeks ago.
Oh,
Uh,
nice segue, sir. Good.
Well, I mean, this would have worked better if it was like the Yoel Romero fight where he pooed his pants, but I don't know. I mean, this will work fine. Uh, John Jones defended his title against Dominic Reyes, and I put defend.
yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah, in
defend.
quotations. Calm down. Listen, and now I think Dominic Reyes and Thiago Santos should fight for the lineal light heavyweight title. Uh,
Well, that makes sense if you consider Thiago Santos should have been John Jones.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that they should fight for the lineal title. John Jones can try and rematch one of the winners who actually should have his title. John Jones, the only title holder to lose twice in a row, yet still retain his title. It's very impressive when you think about it like that.
It isn't.
It's impressive. Reyes beat Jones. I think we're all in agreement there. At minimum, 3-2. I personally scored round 4 for for Dominic as well.
I did.
According to the new rule set, there's really no argument for Jones, I would say. Under the old rule set,
You can argue that if you're myopic, you can argue that he won
Right.
under
Yeah.
the old rules.
if you're bad at scoring fights, you can argue that he won. Reyes did more damage in at least 3 of the rounds. I would definitely argue 4 of those rounds. And even under the old rule set, that should score higher. What I do want to say about Reyes is that he most definitely did not pace himself well. He blew his wad, but the thing that we should say that's impressive is that he fights well while gassed. He doesn't really lower his output too much. He kind of was aware of the fact that, yeah, I'm tired, but I still need to fight, which is good, especially since this is his first 5-round fight. So to be that short into his career, 4 years, and still kind of have that with, that awareness is really good for him. It's not 4 years. Sorry, he's 6 years into his career. My apologies. Maybe it's closer to 5 because he fought first December 4th of 2014. So it's like 5 years. But John has way more experience and honestly, I would say really should have lost that fight. Another thing to note, that notion that to be the champ, you got to beat the champ.
Oh man, that's fucked up. I can't
Just
believe like
stop.
all the nonsense that we have
It's so
borrowed
dumb.
from boxing.
It's such
What
a
a
dumb
bullshit.
idea. It's like to beat the champ, you gotta beat the champ so badly that bad judging can't fuck you over. Like, all right, man. Like, I get
You
it.
know
If
where
you get
that comes from? It's because people like boxing is so fucking corrupt that was a way of coping with things.
that's really dumb.
Yeah, and now people are picking it up from
Oh,
from,
good.
from them.
I'm glad that we are. That's really
Oh,
good.
oh, and you know what else people are picking up? The stupid notion that the last round count more than the opening round.
It doesn't even make sense. It only makes
Oh man, it
sense.
doesn't make sense. It
It
makes
makes
zero
sense
fucking.
if it was Pride.
Yeah, if it was Pride, it would make sense. You know,
Yeah.
like fair enough, but that's not how fights are scored. Like it's in the rule book. Like go read it.
It doesn't even actually make sense under Pride rules because I think Pride scored it by who tried the hardest to finish the fight. It doesn't necessarily weigh the second round more. It just like if you are trying to murder someone in round 1 and then you lose round 2 because you got tired, I don't think they scored for you officially. I think they scored for the guy who tried to kill you in round 1.
Look,
But I
what they would do is that at best you would have an extra round.
Right. I forgot
You know,
that.
like that's how it would go. Like if this had been Pride, like John Jones and Dominic Reyes would have gone forth to an extra round if
Yeah,
you were being kind to John Jones.
yeah, but it's not Pride rules, and under Pride rules, Jones really wouldn't win
Mm.
a fair
Well,
few fights. Well, no.
so
Anyway, okay. Listen, here's the things that were done well by both Dominic Reyes and John Jones. One, excuse me, my apologies.
excuse you.
Dominic Reyes did a really good job of kind of stifling any sort of momentum from John Jones, at least at first. He kept interrupting while Jones was able to pressure in spurts during those first 3 rounds. Reyes did a good job of backing Jones away, which he of course did in a straight line with his arms extended. Instead of using
Best striking defense in MMA.
the best striking defense. No, we're gonna get to that.
Yeah, ask Juan Adams.
That
Ask Juan
happened.
Adams.
No, not Lando Venata, Diego Sanchez. Okay.
I was going to say Juan Adams, who fought in that same card, who has like a similar build to John Jones, and it didn't work too well for him either.
Well, I mean, it doesn't really work well for Jones if he didn't.
Yeah, I was about to say it's not like it works well for Jones. It's just that
It works because he has like Dawson like length to his arms.
right.
That's
So,
what
Not just
but
Dawson
even
games,
that,
he
it's
has
just-
like
Again?
in fighting games you have invincibility frames where like mid animation you don't take that damage.
yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
Jones's chin is that where he sticks his arm out and all of a sudden he takes no damage despite clean shots.
He is
Well,
basically a human glitch.
Yes.
Well, he glitches the judges because he keeps getting hit. I mean, 2 of 3 shots that people fire at him do not hit him, but those that hit him pretty cleanly.
Well, that's because he doesn't have any head movement and kicks his chin straight out. But again, we want to talk about what they did well. Another thing that Reyes was able to do was land some really good counter shots on Jones as he came in.
Yep.
When Reyes was leading, he wasn't extremely comfortable, but he was still throwing. The problem
Yeah.
is that a lot of times when he probably should have thrown an extra strike or two, like if he followed those straight lefts up with a really solid right hook, Conor Rebish was talking about this. It would have been much worse for Jones. Much, much worse.
Yeah, but he's still a novice at this. And the
He
fact that he
is.
got as far as he did,
Correct.
It-
Yeah, I can honestly. This is one of those fights where usually John Jones does better in the rematch. This is the kind of fight where I could see Dominic Reyes probably doing better in the rematch.
Yeah, honestly, like I thought round 4 was probably Reyes' best performance, even though John was ramping up the volume. Just because like it seemed that
Imagine.
after he realized that he gassed, he just started letting his hands loose without really, throwing everything into every single punch. And it was still enough to back John up at several points. So like I don't think he really needed to throw that much power in the first 3 rounds if just, letting his hands go and putting them out there would achieve the same effect, especially given like Jones's glitch of a chin.
Well, that's the thing. I think that in a rematch, I think Reyes will just realize like he just needs to throw more hands. He doesn't need to throw harder, but throw more and in combination, not single shots.
Yeah, just let them go. Like you
Yeah,
don't
just
have
a
to
three
throw a
punch-
knockout punch every punch.
yeah.
Just put
Yeah.
your hands out there.
Yep. 3 punch combinations, and he should be able to land cleaner on Jones. Because here's the problem. I don't think it's not like with Cormier where in the rematch, it's not like with Cormier where he's like, oh, I just need to go to the body. I just need to do this. I just need to do that. Jones in this fight would probably needs to pressure because he's not going to beat Reyes coming off the back foot. And even though Reyes is least comfortable coming forward and leading, he was still lighting Jones up with a lot of those counter shots. And that's the problem. Like Jones would want to walk him down, apply a kick-heavy game plan, and if he can get him down, he will. But he couldn't, and it's not going to get easier. The second
Did you
fight.
notice
Oh,
his
you
foot
couldn't
was
keep him
taped? Did you
down.
notice his big toe was taped?
I did not.
Yeah, I think it's fucked forever, man. Like I don't think that wrestling that we used to see from him is coming back in the same way ever. Like he's going to try to spam it in the rematch, like try to take Reyes down. And if that doesn't work, like he's in fucking trouble now.
I understand your theory, but after that fight, he had multiple fights where he wrestled. And wrestled solidly. So I don't really think that's correct.
I think his finger is fucked. I'll stand by it.
I understand, but like he's wrestled relatively. Like he had the first fight with Daniel Cormier after the toe injury, and he completely out wrestled Daniel Cormier.
Well, not entirely. Like
in the first
that
fight.
Fight was fight was Cormier. He stifled him in the clinch, yeah, but he didn't really have to. He didn't. How do I put it? He didn't really have to push the wrestling exactly because he used like a modified tie clinch. To kind of stifle it there. But when he actually took him down, it was after a combination of slowing Daniel down to the body and then getting him extremely postured up at the fence to the point where like his hips were basically just in line with the fence.
And he out wrestled Glover Teixeira too, and he out wrestled OSP, and he out wrestled Anthony Smith even. Like since then, he has used his wrestling. He was never a shot takedown guy, so I don't. Again,
all I'm saying, it's like there should be some caveats with how he used his wrestling in those fights.
He was always a wrestler against the fence.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is it wasn't like in this fight here where he couldn't really get his opponent to like slow down and accept that position for long enough that he could actually make it work.
I'm not certain that I understand how. Okay, because Alejandro, your argument is that he doesn't like wrestling or can't wrestle effectively like he used to because of the toe.
I think that it's okay. Like he had a compound fracture. Like this shit broke. Okay. How do those things heal? Because they never healed quite the same way again. And if you saw this fight, I think he invested heavily in his wrestling in camp. I don't think he just let it like rust. But I think that he injured himself in camp, and that kind of injury is going to be consistent going forward.
He's never talked about re-injuring it again, or even shown it.
It was taped, and it is consistent with.
It's the first time that you've noticed it.
You know what? Let's assume that it's not. Okay, that you're correct. Let's assume that it's not. And do you believe that he's going to be even more successful the second time around with the wrestling? That's what you're saying.
No, I don't. But that's not the point I was trying to make.
No, but that's the point I'm trying to make. The opposite point is what I'm trying to make. What I'm trying to say is that I don't think he quite has it in him to be quite as effective with his wrestling anymore, even if he invests heavily in it.
Except he was more effective in the clinch than he has been in a long time. Dominic Reyes clearly, that was the other thing I wanted to talk about that he did well, clearly heavily invested in his clinch wrestling because he did an excellent job fighting grips and all those things that are associated with clinch wrestling.
Do you see John disabling that?
What?
Do you see John Jones coming close to disabling that the second time around?
No, but I don't think it has anything to do with the toe.
No, I don't think that it has everything to do with the toe, but I'm saying that it has something to do with the toe.
Why? It hasn't anything to do with the toe. What about Thiago Santos, Anthony Smith, Alexander Gustafsson, Daniel Cormier the second time around, Overseen's Prude, Daniel Cormier,
and Glover Teixeira?
Yeah, well, he took down Gustafsson once. He took down Glover Teixeira 3 times, Cormier 3 times, OSP 3 times, Gustafsson again once, and then he just beat him on the ground. Anthony Smith 3 times, Thiago Santos none, and then he took down Dominic Reyes twice. So he's actually been relatively consistent. The only outlier in takedown total that he's ever had was against Stephan Bonner, which was 7 times in his second UFC fight. Every other time, he's never taken someone down more than 3 times. So I get what you're trying to say. I don't think there's any real evidence to back it up other than some tape around his toe, and it's the first time you've even noticed it. And I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think it has a lot more to do with the fact that he's just regressed as a wrestler. And it doesn't really have much to do with that because the regression came after his, I guess, second, like around the time of his second Cormier fight, not before that. Maybe the OSP fight.
So he's taking people down and he's not doing damage unless you're Gustafsson.
Augustasson and I guess a little bit of Smith.
Yeah, but he couldn't even finish Smith.
I think that has a lot more to do with his regression as a fighter than it has to do with his toe.
Okay, wait. Can we maybe move along from the toe, because it seems like we are using the toe to talk about his regression.
Yeah,
and we're getting hung up on the toe.
We could just talk about his regression in general, but like his regression as a wrestler and as a striker, well, not as a striker, as regression as in the clinch and the wrestling are relatively well noted at this point. I would highly recommend people check out the fightsite.com's in general, and then look at some of the stuff they've talked about with John Jones's regression as well. But I mean, John Jones is not going to fight Dominic Reyes next anyway, probably, which we'll get to. So,
yes, he'll probably fight Jan.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Blachowicz is going to knock him out.
Mm-hmm.
The only logical outcome.
The other thing I wanted to talk about on this card specifically was just props to James Krause going to middleweight on 24 hours notice as a former lightweight.
Vacho, I wanted to mention a few other things with Reyes. Sorry, quite quickly. Like I didn't see many people mention it, but I think it's worth pointing out that just the fact that Reyes could kind of compete with John at kicking range enabled a lot of his game.
Oh, of course. That's one of the things we talked about actually with beforehand. He has to be able to compete at kicking range.
Well, not just have to be able to compete at kicking range, but that seemed to throw off John even the most. Because even regardless if John was winning those range exchanges, by making it uncomfortable, he kind of put John in the headspace that he needs to come forward, and then that just enabled his counterpunching even more. So, I mean, it's still good to rack up that type of damage with all the body and leg kicks he threw, because, I mean, it's John Jones. You don't want to just throw at the head when his head is like a glitch in reality. But like strategically, it did bring more of Reyes' counter-punching game to the front when we've seen John kind of, run backwards every time someone wanted to start boxing exchanges with him. And I think if they are going to rematch, that Jackson will probably try to game plan around it. But I don't
know if Jackson's involved anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not quite sure if he's involved and how they do it unless they plan on countering those kicks. But
does Jones have the capability to play a kick countering game, or the power, or the stopping power to effectively implement it?
We've never seen it before.
That's kind of what I was getting at. Like we've seen him catch kicks before, but like there's a difference between just catching one out of the blue and actually paying attention to when those kick mix-up happens. Because Reyes, while not the best at kind of mixing up his kicks, he does mix up the targets of those kicks. And generally, when he's throwing his left kick, he generally hides it with his straight a bit. So that will be a bit tricky. And I'm not sure if John will be able to counter them with consistency if that happens. But like, I wouldn't be surprised if he came out with such a game plan.
Well, I don't know what he's going to do, but it probably isn't going to fight Dominic Reyes again. So, at least not right away. He's definitely not. My understanding is that he basically shut it down, and Dana also. Anyway,
which is why he's going to get knocked out by Jan Blachowicz.
Probably.
Second best counter puncher.
And then Blachowicz will immediately, and then Thiago Santos will immediately knock out Jan Blachowicz in the rematch, and then John Jones will get a rematch against Thiago Santos. Good God,
don't make me sad, Ben.
Yeah, light heavyweight's kind of shit, isn't it?
I am rooting so hard for Jan, just because.
I don't want to shit on the whole division, but it has what it has.
I don't
but don't
want
make
to
me
see
sad
Jan
about
win.
Jan, though.
I don't want to see
No,
Jan
fuck
win
off.
for the only reason is that, this is a dude who got convinced to pressure Thiago Santos, who pressured Thiago Santos like somebody like middleweight Thiago Santos used to pressure people with just running forward, shifting combinations, and got knocked the fuck out for it against a dude
Yes.
Yeah, but it was fun to
against
watch.
a dude who's absolutely allergic to even slightly good pressure footwork.
Yes, but on the other hand, this is the budget version of Bisping Rockall too.
Dude, we all know that if Paulo Costa just moved up to light heavyweight, he'd be the champ, right?
Yep.
No.
Or Romero.
Yep.
He'll get his ass kicked.
What?
No.
I don't think he beats Thiago Santos, and I don't think he beats John
You
Jones.
don't think
Hell no.
that Paulo Costa,
Yes.
who has actual good pressure footwork, is a
Wait,
walking
wait.
tank durability wise? Hold on, is a tank durability
You
wise?
don't know this. You don't know this.
We don't know he's
Alejandro, at
durable.
best, yes.
No,
Alejandro,
you don't know that
best-
he would just be the champion. You don't know. I don't think he beats. I don't even think he beats Reyes.
You don't think he beats Thiago Santos?
No.
Paulo Costa was a way better middleweight than Thiago Santos ever was. He's a better pressure fighter, probably has a similar level of power, is way more durable. What are you talking? This dude went to war with Yoel Romero. That is a fight that Thiago Santos would never have survived.
Amateur.
Alejandro, I want to stress that Paulo Costa has at worst mildly good pressure footwork. And
Yeah.
we've seen Thiago Santos struggle with
David
maybe
Branch.
okay pressure footwork. Yes.
David Branch pressured him to the fence and knocked him the fuck out with ease.
How long was that?
What has Thiago Santos shown differently since then anyway? It's not like he's a vastly different fighter at light heavyweight. He's just light heavyweight.
So you're saying that it's not the same? Come on, he's made some adjustments.
Like what?
We've seen him make adjustments.
Well, like what? Hold on. What specific technical adjustments has Thiago Santos made to his game?
Patience.
What?
Just for starter. He's been more patient. You forgot the Jones fight now?
I didn't forget the Jones fight. He tore both of his knees. He tore both of his knees. Hold on. He tore both of his knees like 6 minutes into the fight. And the first 5 minutes of the fight, he was blitzing forward after Jones would mildly pressure him. He was throwing spin kicks and tons of he's always been a power kicker who will blitz forward off of counters. What? He's exactly
also, I
the
want to
same
remind
fighter.
you that the Jimmy Manuel fight exists.
Yeah, what are you talking about, man? Paulo Costa is a better fighter than Thiago Santos. It's not even up for debate. Thiago Santos would never be able to pull that shit off that he did against Romero, regardless of whether you scored it for Romero. Yoel Romero is a better fighter than anyone.
I didn't score it for Romero. I scored it for Costa.
Okay, I said regardless of whether you. Not you as in you as in collective.
The collective impersonal you.
Well, most people, a lot of people scored it for Romero.
And they were wrong.
Okay, thank you for making my point even stronger then, because he beat Yoel Romero.
Yeah, but Yoel is kind of faded now, dude.
Oh my God.
He is.
Alejandro, Yoel's version of faded is being more athletic than the entire UFC roster.
Yeah, I'm really. I don't know if you're hot taking for fun right now, but if you actually believe that Thiago Santos is a better fighter than Paulo Costa, and that Costa wouldn't have better success at heavyweight with the tools he has, I don't really know what to tell you, man. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, Yoel Romero is the only argument for eugenics at this point.
Jesus, no, let's move on. Because he's got fucking full Richard Dawkins here.
Well, I mean, if Richard Dawkins had access to Yoel Romero, just imagine what he could accomplish.
Yeah, Richard Dawkins would just make him fuck everything.
Yeah.
Well,
All right, I'm ready to move on from this fight
yeah.
and light heavyweight
Let's
because apparently light heavyweight makes Alejandro lose his shit in terms of just like anything resembling
coherence.
logic, coherence, anything. I don't know what to say to that, but I do want to just quickly again.
On the theme of light heavyweight, do you think
I
we should
just like to
maybe
channel
jump
my inner
to
Stephen A.
Jan?
Smith.
You're both
See what
interrupting each other, and I can't hear either of you.
I just like to channel my inner Stephen A. Smith to see what happens.
Inner what?
Okay.
That I just like to channel my inner Stephen A. Smith.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Fuck off.
While we're on the topic of light heavyweight, do you think we should just jump into Jan Anderson before?
Yeah, let's just jump right into that. Yeah, and then we'll do that, but I just want to quickly shout out James Krause.
Oh, he's amazing.
The fact that he walked into a middleweight fight, 24 hours notice, and arguably won the fight.
I don't know if I would argue for that, but
keep in mind,
he did really.
It was the old rules.
Okay.
But yeah, props to James. The dude is just a freaking beast. He's a really good fighter. I've really liked his run. I'm so happy that he got an extra $50K for that fight. Good for him. The guy's awesome.
Yeah, like James Krause is usually the reason why I like picking experienced veterans against like really athletic but green fighters.
Yep.
Because he came in with like no camp and in the division up, and he still made it tough enough that he arguably won.
Yep.
So
it's really that. That's it. Well put. James Krause, love you. Yeah. I wonder if I can get an interview with him.
You might.
Keep focused.
Yeah, sorry. Jan Blachowicz knocked out Corey Anderson with a heck of a punch. Look, I'd like to remind everyone that Corey Anderson
Jan Blachowicz is going to be champ. Yes.
That Jan and Corey were both highly ranked light heavyweights.
Yeah. Oh God.
I'm gonna let a few more seconds of silence
in honor of Corey Anderson.
I respect Corey Anderson for the pure, the fact is he was basically told you got to trash talk. He then does that after knocking the fuck out of Johnny Walker. I feel bad that he lost his next fight via knockout to Jan Blachowicz, a guy he already beat.
I want to say that I picked Jan Blachowicz. So
yes, you did.
Oh, yeah, we know.
I would like to also say I might still pick Corey Anderson to beat John Jones. I'm not laughing because I don't mean that. I'm laughing because that just shows how weird light heavyweight is.
I don't think he would beat John Jones.
That would be a fight that everybody would bet against Corey Anderson and be like insane odds. And Corey would just
you're just thinking about the odds and you're creaming yourself just because maybe it happened and you would make so much.
No, before the knockout, I probably would have picked Corey. The knockout doesn't change much for the dynamic of the fight for me. It just like another knockout loss. It's just it's just another knockout.
Yeah, it kind of does. I mean, we'll probably talk about this just now. Like Corey's sense of range is really bad. And even if John won't knock him out, I feel like that will just get him into the clinch.
I don't know how much damage Jones can do against Corey in the clinch. Corey's actually not a bad clinch fighter by light heavyweight standards. He's actually pretty solid.
Yeah, but it's a light heavyweight standards. And
I'm using John Jones as a light heavyweight standard too. I don't think at this point Corey Anderson's clinch game is the issue. The issue is the fact that he, like you said, he doesn't really have a great feel for range, which is why he threw that leg kick from way too close and got countered like that. And it wasn't the first time he did it that fight too. Jan, listen, I don't I don't like that Corey didn't really shoot more, and I don't understand it.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
it
he
makes
was
no
trying
sense,
to.
right?
You mentioned this on our chat before, but he was trying to do the Frankie Edgar thing, which is
Yes,
great if you're in any other division, but like at light heavyweight, just take him down.
correct.
You know, like it's not gonna make that much of a difference if you set up your shot versus if you just like go in there and try taking him down.
Yep.
I
He
mean,
didn't.
the
He
champ,
didn't.
for God's sakes, can't pivot. So
He
it's,
didn't even shoot one takedown officially. Like that fight went 3 minutes, and he went without shooting a single takedown, which, I mean, I don't understand. I don't. I don't understand the thought process behind it. I don't.
He wanted to get fancy, man. Like
I don't know if he wanted to get fancy because he was throwing the same 5 strikes the whole time. But
I think he was looking for an angle to set up an angle for a takedown and then take him down. That's what
I don't know about that.
Giving him the benefit of the doubt, right? Because
you're
why would you
overthinking it, Alejandro.
Yeah, I
Like,
really think you're over. You
I
tend to do
watched
that sometimes.
No, giving the benefit of the doubt.
But he
Like,
made.
okay, honestly, it just looks like he's cycling through shit. That's what it looks like.
I mean,
wouldn't even say cycling because I watched the fight earlier today again, and like he did a lot of trying to like feint in range, throw 1 or 2 quick combinations or just one-off strikes, but like his sense of range and selection specifically were just so off. So like he'd feint coming into range when he was way too far out for it to really matter. Then he'd like throw a random leg kick just out of nowhere while being in the right range for it. Then he tried to feint into range while doing the same thing and end up way too close. So it's like he's trying the Frankie Edgar thing, but like he doesn't have the nuance to make it work, even though it's rote. So it just ends up being this rote thing that you can like counter.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
He just fucked up. He dropped the ball.
It kind of sucks because
Don't tell us he's your Ryan Bader 2.0 now, Ben.
he's not. No. No one will ever be Ryan Bader.
I said 2.0. Call him Ryan Jr.
No, it's just that.
And could Ryan Bader beat John Jones today?
Yeah.
Don't, Alejandro, please. I don't want to get into this conversation now.
I think yes.
He probably could.
I think he has a much better chance of beating Jones than he would have beating Cormier, though.
Alejandro, we are talking to Bader's number 1.
No. I'm trying to be objective. I really am.
I'm sorry, his only fan.
Hold on. You, Bilal.
I corrected myself, Ben.
I could have. I could have waited till you were asleep to start this show. All right, I'm just letting you know. No, shut up. I gave you the courtesy of being on this podcast tonight by allowing and planning to make sure I left work early to make sure you could be on fucking.
Ben, we are unpaid interns. I don't think you should be making that argument.
I'm the only. Excuse me. I spend money for this to exist.
You promised us exposure for this job, Ben. Like...
I don't even get exposure myself, and I'm losing money on you assholes. Well, no,
you're not losing money on me.
Yes, I am.
How so?
How do you think we get to have the direct downloads posted? I pay for that shit. I pay for that shit.
Hey, also, we told you that we could help you with that, and what did you say?
I said no problem.
Oh, well, I guess that's the answer then.
I was about to say we do free advertising for your business, Ben.
Not really. You advertise it on the podcast I'm on.
When you forget, Ben, like you did today.
Okay. I feel comfortable saying that I haven't gotten a single order from the podcast. Cool. I'm sorry. Okay, we're gonna move on.
Okay, if anyone listening orders Ben's meat, just make sure to mention that I was responsible for it. He needs to know.
I don't know why I have you on here.
This is the power of unpaid interns, man.
What were we even talking about?
I guess we're talking about Ryan Bader being possibly able to beat John.
No. First of all, no. I do think he could beat John at this point. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have anything to say other than Jan's probably going to fight Jones and then lose to Dominic Reyes? Yeah, I think he would lose by knockout to Dominic Reyes. I think he'd get countered coming in.
Yeah.
Santos countered him.
He's developed a good
that's why I feel very confident picking that. By the way, like if Thiago Santos is counter knocking you out, like Dominic Reyes, who actually has a really good counter left, is going to knock him out.
Yeah. Shame. But at least we'd get light heavyweight Michael Bisping, so it's always a good thing.
Oh man, Michael Bisping. He was so underrated.
We're only going to talk about this because there were two of them, 2 DQs for 2 illegal knees. Diego Sanchez versus Michel Pereira, who was beating the shit out of him. But the only time he wasn't beating the shit out of him was when Diego was doing that weird handsy kung fu shit. So credit to Diego for learning something that works.
I kind of don't.
You know what? Props to Diego because the one lucid. I'm sorry. Just let me say this.
Yeah.
Let me say this. Props to Diego Sanchez because the one lucid thought he had probably in a long time, he used it to quit a fight. Okay, he's losing. He's down on the scorecards. His ribs got broken according to him. And he's like, "Fuck this! I'm getting paid." He made a veteran decision. Okay.
No, I agree with it.
Yeah, I know. Like, I don't know why people are giving him shit. Honestly.
Yeah, if there's one thing Diego Sanchez is known for, it's definitely being a bitch and quitting in fights, right?
No, I'm happy he quit.
I'm saying this dude's given us enough blood and
like,
brain cells.
Dude, he could do that whole Bob Sapp circuit, okay? Like the whole thing. That go through different cities and just fucking lose, and I would be fine with it.
Can we stop talking about this fight? Because like when I watched it, I tried, doing the whole analysis thing, trying to figure out what is going on. And about halfway through, I just realized that like Diego Sanchez is doing weird shit, and like Michel Pereira is doing even weirder shit. Like someone trying to emulate Anderson Silva, but with none of the actual technical acumen or wherewithal to actually pull it off. So, like, I honestly don't know what to say about it.
I don't know. Like Michel Pereira,
you don't have to say anything.
Like he got lost in the woods, and then he was found and raised by a family of acrobats, and then that's the only thing he wants to do from now on. Like,
in this fight, he didn't even try that much acrobatic shit. He pretty much was moving or hurting Sanchez with every strike he threw. But for like some reason,
do you see the part where he started looking down and then started jumping side to side?
Yep.
Yes. Don't.
Yeah, like that's him, like just trying acrobatic shit, and his brain telling him maybe later. And so he starts doing this thing.
No, I honestly just thought like he in his head he imagined that to look really cool, and that he was being super defensive and like entering the matrix.
But no, he was.
And in the meantime, it looked like two people who like have never ever sparred or taken a boxing class before, but have watched like 5 UFC events. One of them being like Anderson Silva versus Forrest Griffin, and then like trying to pull it off. And then like one of them is super jacked while the other one is just like, binge watches Netflix every second day because why not?
So, yeah,
why not? That's kind of like
man.
The description of Diego Pereira, right? Like, why not? That's his whole style. Why not?
It's true. And the other legal knee was Brock Weaver. Good DQ
call. Versus Casula Vargas, Mexican dude. Woo-hoo.
Apparently
Get your...
Apparently Vargas is a piece of shit. So,
Why?
Ray Borg. I remember seeing something about him being an awful training partner in the gym. Like super
Probably throws illegal knees all the
aggressive,
time.
yeah, aggressive and like violent in the gym and whatever. Ray Borg missed weight, but my God, did he put a wrestling clinic on Rogerio Bontorin, or however I pronounce it. But I'm always happy when Ray Borg wins. That's all. That's what I could tell you. The dude's been through so much shit. I'm just happy that he's
and
having
he did
success.
everything the USCPI put him to do, man. Like he followed their weight cut like metrics to a T, and it just didn't work out.
I don't know. He's not a huge bantamweight. He's not a huge flyweight, so I don't really know how he's going to do it. I think it'd be too small.
He's moving up.
Yeah, I think it'd just be too small for the top guys, honestly. He's fought at bantamweight a bunch, but I mean, the last time he fought at bantamweight, he lost to Casey Kenny. So I don't know. Well, no, he beat Gabriel Silva, but he lost to Casey Kenny. So, I mean, I think he's just gonna be outsized at bantamweight, and that's the problem. So
yeah, I think he might be one of the rare cases of an actual in-betweener.
Yep.
Where like,
but he also,
for some reason,
he also missed weight for the Casey Kenny fight, so I don't know about that at bantamweight. So yeah, I don't really know what to say about him, to be honest. What I will say is that I really like him, and I hope he keeps winning. So, Venata versus Medeiros happened, and it was okay. He was okay. Daniel Rodriguez almost knocked out Tim Means, which made me really sad.
Yeah, beat the shit out of him.
He beat the shit out of him.
I was sad
and then he choked him out.
Fight. Like I've seen Tim Means get like hurt and finished before, but I've never seen him so fragile.
Yeah, it's not a good sign for him. I mean, I think it's at this point, like we can say that his durability is starting to fade a little bit, which is not a good sign for a dude who kind of uses his durability a lot.
I wouldn't even say
he's got like
I wouldn't even say little, but like I mean, previously it was Matt Brown's elbow, which I mean, like I wouldn't hold that against anyone because like he's one of the few people who actually knows how to throw elbows.
Also, Nico Price.
And I was about to say Nico Price, who hits with the force of a giraffe in like heat. So.
Fun fact: Nico Price is fighting what's his name soon. Muslim Salikov, April 2020, and I don't think that's gonna go very well for him, honestly.
Also, for those who don't know, I suggest you go on YouTube and look up giraffes fighting during mating season, because
this is why we fucking bring on Bilal. You think you're coming for the fights, but you're leaving with Discovery Channel.
Hey man, you haven't seen those fights. They get knocked out.
I know.
Yeah, they literally get knocked out.
Shots to the back of the head.
All right, let's move on to John Dodson.
Wait, I didn't finish explain. So, like, as you know, giraffes have really, really long necks.
Oh my God, no! I have
it.
things to do, Bilal. So does Alejandro. You got to go to sleep after this. What's wrong with you?
I'm getting there, Ben.
John Dodson, Nathaniel Wood. I'm going to mute you and not let you turn back on.
He's like,
I'm working my way up to no price. Just keep patience. So when they fight, they tend to whip their entire necks around and throw their heads like sledgehammers. Now, as we've seen, Nico Price has like shoulders as wide as a giraffe's neck. So every time he throws, just imagine a giraffe's head at the end of his fist landing on his opponents. And I can't really hold that against the Means if that killed him. Because, like, I mean, if it's enough power to knock out a giraffe, imagine what it can do to, like, a mere mortal. Just unfair.
Thank you so much, Bilal. I really needed that.
Yeah, I don't think I needed that. John Dodson knocked out Nathaniel Wood. That's a fight where this is a fight where you really, really would show to somebody who doesn't understand why lateral movements is a thing or pivoting. Because Nathaniel Wood repeatedly backed straight up, and John Dodson just repeatedly landed the exact same left-handed punch really, really, really fast. Also, John Dodson could have probably been even better if he threw a fucking right hand.
Yeah, but why do
Also,
that?
I think you forgot to mention that John Dodson also backed up in a straight line the entire fight.
Yeah, but that's
Well,
what he always
right,
does.
but only one of them actually got punished for it. And it was Nathaniel Wood, the dude who's supposed to be a really good prospect.
Yes, the prospect last time, so sad.
But usually prospect losses aren't flush knockouts and also aren't your fourth loss.
I was talking about his nickname, but in any case.
Oh, I didn't know his nickname. Oh, it's
It's a
actually a
prospect.
motherfucker named himself a prospect. You fucking asshole.
Oh god,
Oh,
that pun writes itself.
This is why you hired me, Ben. I'm here for quality content.
I don't regret anything. Scott Holtzman beat Jim Miller, and I'm sad.
Yeah, he should retire.
Jim looks physically softer than I've ever really seen. Holtzman basically just out durability'd him after a little bit because Jim was kind of lighting him up and won that first round, and then just he eventually got overwhelmed. At
So
no
what you're
point
saying
did he
is-
stop fighting, so that I
What
give
you're
him.
saying is Jim Miller versus Diego Sanchez in BKFC 2020. That's
Oh,
what I'm
shut
getting
up.
right
Did
now.
you say Thiago Sanchez?
No,
Diego
I
Sanchez.
said Diego.
Oh, thank God. All right, I don't really have any other fights I really care to talk about on the card, but I do want to quickly. I do think we can talk about Paul Felder versus Dan Hooker, unless one of you guys have something else to talk about on that card.
Now let's talk
I'm
about Paul
always up
Felder
for
versus
talking
Dan
about-
Hooker.
Can you guys
Yeah, I'm
ever
always up
not
for
talk at the
talking about
same
our opponents. God damn it, Ben.
time? Bilal, you first.
Okay. Then, no, this is kind of a hard fight for me to pick because Paul Felder is probably a better athlete than Dan Hooker, all things considered.
I don't think that's
And
really
like,
up to
Easy?
yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm getting there, Ben. I'm getting there. So like, he's a better athlete, and his style relies on being tough, having a good game plan, and also just being really tough. Dan Hooker, on the other hand, he's not the best athlete, but he does what we mentioned Reyes did in round 4 against Jones, where he will just kind of let his hands go in front of his opponent until he can spot an opening, at which point he will sit down hard on that opening and usually ends up getting the knockout when he does win. The only problem... Oh, wait, before I go on, he was also from the same camp as Adesanya and Volkanovski. And while he doesn't show it as much as them, he does also kind of rely on that pair down, utilizing kickboxing game before he can spot his openings, where it'll basically be just like a jab, quick non-committal low kick, and a stream of feints coming out just to see how his opponent will react to that basic setup. The only kind of problem is that Paul Felder isn't really the kind of guy to get knocked out, and he's not above just kind of walking forward into an opponent's range if it means, that was the game plan he had in mind, in which case he'll probably throw like 20% spinning shit and like 50% actual strikes. Like that math doesn't make sense, but like you get the point. Like,
Yeah, no, I know
a
what you
decent
meant.
amount of spinning shit. Which between everything, I don't think will work particularly well against Hooker, just on a skill level. But like, it's really tricky to kind of judge how high Hooker can get without being that good of an athlete against someone who has probably a market strength advantage and durability advantage. Well, I mean, Felder's also not really a knockout artist, but like to beat Dan Hooker, I don't think you need to knock him out so much as you need to kind of put the pressure on him enough that you can bank on your durability getting you the best exchanges. And yeah, I mean, maybe one of you can see something maybe different than I do. but that makes it kind of tricky to judge because if athleticism were all equal, I'd pick Hooker in a heartbeat. But like, I can't tell when Felder's chin is going to give.
The problem is that we also don't really have an analog for Felder that Hooker's fought. We have two common opponents in Barboza and Vic, and Barboza beat Hooker by TKO in the third and kind of just fucking wrecked him, honestly. And Felder won a decision he probably shouldn't have won. But then we have James Vick, who Dan Hooker knocked out in the first round, went to a decision with Paul Felder and was fighting relatively well with him. It's a
very strange fight, isn't it?
It really is.
Well, that's kind of the thing. Like against Barboza, the durability of Felder and his ability to kind of tank all the shots while walking forward seems to have saved him, whereas Hooker just, tried playing outside just for a little bit and got fucked up so badly that he was compromised the entire fight. So, like, if he had Paul Felder's durability, I wouldn't, question picking Hooker in that fight. But Paul Felder has Paul Felder's durability. So, it's like you said, we don't...
I'm trying to look at their, their opponents, and really none of them are... The only ones that, I could... It's Edson Barboza. This is Paul Felder. Edson Barboza, James Vick, Mike Perry, Charles Oliveira, Stevie Ray. Those are the last 5 opponents. For Hooker, it's Ali Quinta, James Vick, Edson Barboza, Gilbert Burns, and Jim Miller. And right before that, Mark Dykese.
Nothing in common.
Both also fought Ross Pearson, and Felder lost to Ross, but they were both... But one of them fought in 2015, the other fought in 2017 when Ross was already seriously declined.
Yep.
I'm not sure if Felder will pressure immediately.
I mean, he kind of has to, doesn't he?
Well, that's what he knows. That's what he does, because that's what he knows.
No, he does not always pressure. That's not true.
No?
But
you have this idea that he gets pressure.
Because he has in his last
recent
fights, yeah.
Hmm.
But he wasn't always. A lot of times he used to kind of play range kickboxing and then pressure while getting beaten up.
Yeah, but that's why he started pressuring, because his other shit didn't work as well.
Right, no, he pressures, but he also doesn't have very good pressure footwork, but also Dan Hooker is not the greatest at dealing with pressure. But
so why wouldn't he pressure?
But because I don't know if he's necessarily going to have that game plan. What I'm saying is that I'm not saying he's not going to pressure. I just don't know if it's going to be his game plan from the start. If it is, I could see Dan Hooker being troubled by it, but I'm not so convinced that Felder is going to be able to lay on Hooker the same damage that Edson Barboza did, because Edson's also much faster than Felder was. And that's part of what caused Hooker so many problems.
Yeah. Barboza shouldn't have lost that fight, man.
No, he really shouldn't have.
I still think that a Mark Henry trained Edson Barboza would have won that fight more clearly.
I also want to say one more thing. This is a 5-round fight. I don't think Hooker's fought 5 rounds before. And if he he's only gone to a decision a couple times. Twice in his entire career. He's only won a decision twice in his entire career.
I know this is going to seem weird,
yeah.
but I know this is going to seem weird, but I honestly trust Hooker down the stretch, just because to eat so many body shots from Barboza and still walk forward means that you have to have the respiratory system of a crocodilian or something.
I don't know, man. I don't know if that's how that works. I think he was more zombie than human at that point. But I'm going to pick Hooker by decision, but the Fight Site guys also kind of made me really doubt that, because they were talking about specifically Edson Barboza was freaking cross countering Hooker's jab, and one of the most utilized tools that he has is the jab, and if Edson Barboza is cross countering you, that's a big problem.
But Hooker is not as fast.
Hooker.
As Barboza?
You
I
mean
think he
Felder,
means
right?
Felder.
Yeah, I was gonna say no, he's not. That's what I'm saying. That's part of what my argument was. I'm like, I think a lot of the things that Barboza was able to pull off against Hooker had to do with his speed advantage, which I don't think Felder will have. However, Felder's potential pressure is going to be a problem as well. It's a kind of a crapshoot, but I'm going to pick Hooker by decision. That's my thoughts on this fight.
I'm gonna go with Felder. I'm gonna go with Felder, if only because.
Why?
Because he's very durable.
It's an X factor fight for you, basically.
Yeah. Let's say if his durability doesn't hold up, and it might not because he's taking a shit ton of damage, then he should lose, like on technical grounds, right?
No, a lot of the things Felder does could trouble Hooker.
No, I know, but I just think that. Correct me if you think I'm mistaken, but I think Hooker is just a little bit more developed in that area now.
Can Felder kick with Hooker from the outside?
He could.
No. I'm asking, do you think that's a fight he could do successfully? Because
I don't know because I
don't know if he could do it with extended periods of time.
Yes,
I think that he could do it in spurts. He
could get countered. I think Hooker is a tad faster than Felder, a little bit, just enough to count. These dudes are not super fast, but I think Hooker is a little.
I don't think Hooker's faster. I think he's I think he looks faster than he is because of the snap he puts on a lot of his strikes. So they look faster, but I think it's more
his footwork. He's effective. He knows where to be when he needs to be.
No, I would say more when he's moving forward. When he's backing up, I feel like he's kind of like he could be caught off.
Well, yeah, but that's
also Hooker's defense or lack thereof is a problem.
Well, that's the story of most every MMA fighter.
Right. No, but Hooker's like extremely hittable.
Hooker relies a lot on kind of like the threat of mixing things up at range to kind of keep you off.
That being
not
said,
so much like defense in the pocket.
Well, that being said, Paul Felder also gets hit and gets hit even more than Hooker does. So
yeah, that's why I'm picking Felder. Because consider all those things. If Felder can absorb that kind of damage and still push forward, he should probably win, in my opinion.
Have we seen Paul Gaz? I feel like we've seen him, not necessarily Gaz, but kind of
But he fights well when he's tired.
He also fights well when he's tired.
And we haven't seen Hooker do that yet. So
he's won more decisions, that's for sure. Like Hooker's lack of decision wins is what concerns me as well. Because
Hooker still tried fighting when he had his midsection amputated by Barboza.
I'm not saying he's
I know
tough,
it's not really.
How much longer?
I know it's not really the best evidence, but
it's not scientific for sure.
Yeah, but if you can do that, then I have almost zero doubt that you can fight while gassed. I'm tired. I don't know which way to choose, but
I'm going with Felder and not Felder. Sorry, Hooker.
I'm going with Felder, just backing on his durability.
Okay, I think that's it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for joining us, listeners. Please check out thefightsite.com.
Buy Ben's meat.
Buy by meat. If you feel so inclined, feel free to support the Fight Site on Patreon.
And tell Ben that I'm the reason you bought his meat, obviously.
Sure, of course. Thank you all so much for joining us. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter. We love you. Mwah.
Mwah.